So we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance, and the only people that were on it were these couple people.
All manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime.
This pill, and about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'd say about an hour in, I start feeling real jittery and
After all that Diddy put her through and everything she had to reveal in court, Cassie has now presented him with a significant demand. Naturally, this has Diddy feeling deeply unsettled.
Prompted this investigation by the Southern District, and now Sean Combs stands before the court as a convicted felon of 2 federal crimes. He faces significant incarceration. Not the exact outcome that we wanted, but we are grateful to the jury for finding a guilty verdict on those 2 federal crimes. No amount of money is going to ever undo what she had to endure and what she had to go through. So I think both she and I didn't really take well to that as her being a winner. And frankly, the fact of the matter is that when she testified, she had already been paid the $30 million. So she had no vested interest in anything other than telling the truth on that witness.
Cassie is fueling the situation, making matters even more complicated. Diddy is now asking the judge to either overturn his conviction or grant a new trial. His actions, his team notes, took place before any formal discipline was issued. In a comprehensive 62-page court filing submitted Wednesday night, Diddy's attorneys argue that federal authorities acted unjustly, claiming his conviction is not only wrong but also unlawful and highly unusual. The fallout from this ruling is becoming increasingly serious, particularly for those affected by Diddy's actions.
Given their verdict with this case is far from over grab your snacks as we talk about how much time is he getting in the clanker. At this point, we all know that Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of transportation of ladies and gentlemen of the night. This crime holds a maximum sentence of 10 years. There's no minimum, but he was found guilty on 2 counts. So in a perfect world with simple math, he's facing up to 20 years in prison, but it's just not that simple. Our judicial system calls themselves trying to be fair, so there's a grid or like a chart where you have guidelines based upon your criminal history. They don't think it's fair that if this is your first conviction that you should potentially face the same amount of time as if this is someone's 3rd or 4th. So there's a chart, actually here's the chart right here. So this is the U.S. Sentencing Commission table, and this is Diddy's first conviction, believe it or not. So he will definitely fall right here in this first column. So in this very first section where you see offense level, you see zone A, B, C, and D. Well, the prosecutors are going to try to get to the highest zone that they can.
Throughout the trial, prosecutors claimed that Diddy organized a circle of close associates who pressured women, including singer Cassie Ventura and another woman named Jane, to attend inappropriate parties featuring adult performers. These events were reportedly called hotel nights or freak-offs. In this video, an adult entertainer shares their experiences with Diddy and these controversial gatherings.
I'm Cassie and Diddy gave you drink.
Yeah, bro. Crack is whack, bro. Like, I definitely for me, I am the worst crackhead that you will ever see in your life. I can't do no kind of drug. Because I can't remember if it was Cassie or him that initially asked me if I wanted to try it. I believe it was her. She asked me if I ever tried it before, but they was both standing there together. And I was like, no. And I think he was like, yo, you want to try it? It's going to make you feel real nice. You're going to feel relaxed. You're going to feel like, like partying. And so I was like, man, I don't enjoy like that, but I mean, I guess, whatever. So I tried it. I mean, at this point, I've been with them for long enough. They're not hiding their identity no more. I'm shooting this with Cassie all the time now. Like, every time that we're together, we talking for hours and shit. So I feel a level of trust. And so I take this pill, and about 30 minutes in, man, maybe about an hour, I'd say about an hour in, I start feeling real jittery and shaky and real chattery. I start talking a lot. And so I guess I annoyed him, and he was like, yo, I think you need a break. So he was like, yo, I'm gonna pay you a little something, go get something to eat or whatever, and we're gonna hit you back when you feeling a little bit less like chatty. And so I left out the joint. She lived like by the BMW building on 59th Street in like a 10th, 11th Avenue, West End Avenue.
It was West End.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened, bro. Like it literally felt like 3 minutes later, my ass was in Times Square.
I told you about my situation. I was throwing up on the bathroom floor. I was messed up. They put me out of the hotel and sent me out into the street to go home. Dude, I'm throwing up all over the floor and I'm delirious. That's why that situation happened. Why I ended up walking from the Trump and Columbus Circle all the way down to Union Square. Because he put me out there with no regard to what was going to happen to me once I left that hotel. And now that I know what was going on, I see how little they actually regarded us as human beings. They just looked at us as people that they could use.
City attorneys have pushed back, claiming these incidents were part of a shared lifestyle and that all adults involved took part willingly. They also suggested the women are only stepping forward now to pursue financial gain from Diddy. He has pleaded not guilty to every charge. In a recent court filing, Diddy's legal team argued that no other American has ever been convicted in a similar case under the MAN Act. They maintain that the trial would have played out very differently and with far less emphasis on violence if the government had limited the charges to the two transportation-related counts. Recently, Diddy's lead attorney gave an in-depth interview shedding light on these arguments.
What about the other component that we know the judge is very concerned about, and that is your client's propensity for violence? Even you yourself acknowledged that in the closing arguments of the case with what happened to Cassie on the video that the world saw, and in the instances with Jane. How can you reconcile your position now in this motion for bail, that he should be free and is not a danger to the public when we know these instances happened in the past?
So I think the key thing with what you said is that it happened in the past. I mean, the only instance that we have in recent memory was one, and the trial evidence showed this, where Jane essentially, started a fight with Mr. Combs, smashed his head against the counter, threw glasses at him. Jealousy was always a feature of their relationship, and Jane was jealous of his relationship with another woman. And so that was about 14 months ago that happened. But other than that, everything dates back, a number of years, 2018 and before. And as the point we made in the bail application as well is, Mr. Combs is seeking counseling, was seeking counseling for domestic violence before he was arrested. He was attending a program here in New York, and we really wish that he could have stayed in that program, but the federal government arrested him, and then he was in jail, and he couldn't continue with this very outstanding program, which I believe he'll come back to if he's released. And that's really, I started my career in the Manhattan DA's office, and I would see, all manner of domestic violence, and it's a very difficult crime for everyone involved. It's difficult, obviously, for the victim, who has to live in fear from one of the people in her lives that she's the closest to or he's the closest to. But what I saw in the DA's office is that these were not resulting in lengthy prison sentences. These were resulting in appropriate, treatment programs, self-awareness, therapy, things like that. And I think this is what Mr. Combs needs rather than an extended time.
Alexander Shapiro, Diddy's attorney, told reporters, "This conviction stands alone, but it should not stand at all." The defense also argues that from the start, the government has tried to cast Diddy as a villain. According to their petition, prosecutors spent months accusing him of harming multiple women and running a criminal enterprise for 2 decades. Yet, after a 2-month trial, the jury dismissed these claims. At present, Diddy has only been found guilty of the 2 specific violations. The complaint further asserts that there is no evidence showing anyone was coerced, threatened, or deceived. Still, if Diddy is granted full exoneration, questions remain about how the government plans to hold him accountable.
Allowed to live at his home in Miami, I should say at the mansion, it's really a mansion, as he awaits his sentencing in October. Now, the bond would be co-signed by 3 financially responsible people. His travel would be limited. It'd be limited to Florida and to New York, and his passport would be surrendered. His lawyers say if necessary, they would even add in home detention, so electronic monitoring, private security, mental health treatments, also substance abuse treatment, and electronic surveillance to make sure that he stays where he's supposed.
Authorities charge Diddy with violating the law by transporting a professional entertainer or longtime partner across state lines for private purposes. He was ultimately found guilty only of the specific offenses outlined in the complaint. Diddy's attorneys emphasized that there was no financial incentive involved and that all participants were consenting adults. Yet other supporting accounts suggest that the situation may not have been entirely as the defense portrays.
Bob is to remember, she made it very clear he had been at her since she was like 18, 19 years old. It didn't become so-called official until her 21st birthday, and she was already signed. Matter of fact, if I'm correct, I believe that's the night that Britney Spears was there at that party as well, and they said that she was seen left with Diddy, half out of her gourd. And Diddy was joking about what he had done with her. But I guess, we want to skip over all of that. So she started out as an employee. All of the beatings, because there were more than the beatings that we saw on that tape. Which, by the way, I also sat here on this couch and said he was beating that girl, he was raping that girl, he put the boots to that girl, and dared her to say anything. And you said, why would he do that? Because I said, because he thinks he's God. Now, we all saw that tape come out on my birthday, May 17th, 2024. And even though that was the first time I had seen that tape, it sounds like I described exactly what he was doing to that girl on that tape without me seeing it. How could that be possible? How could I be that right? How could I guess that good?
How did you know, Jack?
Once again, everyone knew. Everyone knew. Just like the witness who came forward, who was too afraid when the grand jury came forth and they wanted her to testify. And she decided she was going to fall back, hoping that the government had enough from all of the raids, because they should have been able to make the case stick with everything that we know that they found during those raids. They had more than enough evidence. Funny how none of it made it to court.
During the trial, both women testified that they felt pressured to follow Diddy's instructions. Cassie Ventura stated that he controlled her finances and career, making it frightening for her to refuse attending the parties. She also testified that Diddy had abused her, and the jury viewed surveillance footage showing him assaulting her in 2016, a video first released by CNN in May 2024. Despite this, the jury did not find him guilty of trafficking either woman.
Okay.
His attorney told the world basically, like, yes, Diddy is a swinger. He can't just go out into a swinging party. He may have to hire people to come into his world to do those swingish things.
A swingers party with as many different people as he had at those parties. And understand this, these sessions that he's talking about swinging, there were multiple men. It wasn't just one-on-one action, and I don't know why they're all lying. Like, they're all lying through their caps. And anybody who doesn't want to see that, well, then that's just on them. But I'm going to tell you something right now. If he really wanted to sue Cassie because he was upset about a baby deletion and all the diseases that she gave him and all of the terrible things that she did to him, why did he have to wait for her to sue Diddy?
Well, I think he waited for the testimony. Cassie opened that door.
No. If he was so, he said he had always intended to go after her. He had planned on coming after her. It was Tyrone Blackburn that stopped him.
I mean, $30 million changes a lot.
$30 million changes a lot. Come on now. You got VD and all of that, but you had to wait for her to get some money in order for you to want to come home? That doesn't make any sense, especially when you're a money-grubbing little hoe like him. And he is a money-grubbing little hoe. He's enjoying his press tour, talking about how he might not be the best looking, but he was the best in bed. How would she know as high as she was?
He said they had an 8-year run, like 8 years?
Yeah, and in those 8 years, he didn't mind getting burned and coming.
Diddy's legal team argues that the jury was not convinced the women were harmed or trafficked. They also note that convictions under the Mann Act are rare for someone who neither actively participated, profited, intended to harm others, nor broke any major laws. According to their filing, Diddy is currently in jail for paying adult entertainers to appear on private recordings that he and his girlfriends watched. His attorneys assert that if this were illegal, the statute itself would be unconstitutional. They add that the tapes, some of which were made public during the trial, showed no illegal activity and were private content protected under free speech laws. Still, Jaguar Wright has raised questions about the reliability of the evidence used in the case.
That she dropped her lawsuit, he kicked out $20 million in 24 hours. Why would you do that if you did nothing wrong? Why? You were doing it out of the kindness of your heart? Well, why? Why? Just like Mr. Clayton Bixby. Because that's what he looks like, the crackhead.
Oh.
That Dave Chappelle used to play on the show, the Clayton Bixby. He looks just like that to me. I'm sorry, I don't care how magnificent you say you be. I couldn't make it past the look of your face, sir. Cassie would have needed to be high on all of the stuff in that baby oil and everything else, y'all, to be able to make it through you. Or maybe the diddler really chose him because he wanted to make sure there was somebody there that was uglier than him. You know, of all of the things y'all have heard me say to y'all for all of this time, have you ever heard me get into any of these nasty details that you heard pop out through the trial?
No.
You ever hear me talk about the size of people's members, the nasty little... I pretty much kept it short, didn't I? I spared y'all exactly how trifling and nasty it really was, did I not? I mean, considering how disgusting all of this stuff is, I think I gave it a lot of grace. And yet I was still very accurate about everything that I said was happening, except for the whole idea that, oh, no, there was no other celebrities. There was no other celebrities were there. And this only happened with these couple of people. And so we're supposed to believe that the feds went into multiple addresses, picked up thousands of hours of surveillance. And the only people that wanted were these couple people.
So the question, Jack, is: do you feel the feds, the prosecution, put on a good case? Did you believe they put their best foot forward, or maybe they rushed things, or maybe they didn't do their due diligence in certain areas?
I think, considering what's going on with the Epstein list right now,
Both women stated that Diddy left them feeling powerless, humiliated, and fearful, warning that he would make the recordings public if they didn't comply. Meanwhile, Diddy's legal team has submitted a second request for a new trial. They are also asking the judge to grant him release on $50 million bail while awaiting sentencing. Although they argue that he poses no threat and is unlikely to flee, the judge has already denied bail, citing his aggressive conduct. In the courtroom, he was the only one present. Yes, indeed.
One.
Yeah.
He saw how that turned out.
No, guilty.
That's why they do it. To make you an example. To remind you what they're willing to do to keep things the way they want them. It's intimidation. Can't go to the authorities. They're all bought and paid for. You could try to get a special prosecutor, but they'll just pay somebody to reassign him to another case.
When the court first considered bail, several individuals, including Cassie Ventura, submitted statements saying they would feel threatened if Diddy were released. His sentencing is now set for October 3rd. Since his September 2024 arrest in Manhattan, he has remained in custody at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. Former President Donald Trump has expressed that he still believes Diddy is mostly innocent, despite last month's federal conviction. The two also seem to share a history together.
Let's not get it twisted. I mean, Diddy has partied with Trump before. Diddy has had parties at the Trump Tower, possible freak-offs at the Trump Towers. We have to look at behind
R. Kelly lived out of the Trump Towers when he was doing what they. Isn't it funny how they was able to convict Robert Kelly of a RICO, but not the Diddler? And the Diddler had so much more money. I mean, Robert Kelly would have had money if he had been able to read and write and known that they was robbing him blind before they put him in jail. But, on the book. Isn't that funny? You want to know what else is funny? That in the middle of that trial, R. Kelly was rushed to the hospital after being overdosed. He didn't overdose himself. The medication was given to him by the people in jail. And his legal team came forward and said that the feds were trying to kill him. There was another prisoner who said that they was going to let him do the deed. All he had to do was just beat the crap out of him. And when he went to the hospital, his body was filled with blood clots. And the jail pulled him from the hospital before he could be treated. Interesting. Tory Lanez also almost lost his life. While I was in New York, first day of trial after the jury had been selected. It's funny how nobody's talking about that either.
Yeah, do you feel that was a hit from the outside?
I'm sorry, somebody that you've been jailing with for quite some time that you was all right, and then out of nowhere, all of a sudden, he was looking at your girl, or he was talking to your girl, and you got to poke him up 14 times on the first day of Diddy's trial. You want to know what else was going on during Diddy's trial that I was really focused on and nobody else was focused on? Demore Hadley.
Oh, yes.
Daughter of Desiree Perez. See, I went to the courthouse. I saw exactly what it was hitting for. I knew it was all. I knew they was the whole goddamn thing up, and I knew they had everybody wagging the dog and working.
However, Trump admits that granting him a pardon during his presidency would be complicated, largely due to Diddy's past comments about him. The federal facility where Diddy was held during Trump's interview remains in operation, while another similar center in the city shut down in 2019. When Jeffrey Epstein, a former Trump associate whose reputation was tarnished, died while awaiting trial, that other facility was already closed. Epstein's family continues to insist that he did not actually die, contradicting official reports.
Since your brother's death, there has been a cover-up?
Well, there's certainly been a cover-up of his death. I'm just concerned about the fact that it looks like he was murdered.
What motive do you think somebody might have had for wanting to kill him?
To quiet him. He had dirt on people. He was in Jeffrey's office a lot when he was in financial trouble. They used to fly in each other's planes. Jeffrey would tell me funny stories, what happened when they were together.
Today, Trump shared why that relationship fell apart.
Because he did something.
That Jeffrey ended the relationship because he believed Donald Trump was a crook. Where do you think the truth lies?
I know my brother, and he wouldn't, I don't think he would say that unless that's what. Stop covering things up and let a real, honest homicide investigation take place.
Trump's Justice Department has faced criticism for not following through on earlier promises to release additional details about the Epstein case. That controversy casts a long shadow, especially considering that Trump retains the power to grant pardons. Yet his own statement suggests that exercising this power isn't purely a legal calculation. It can be heavily shaped by past interactions, personal remarks, and long-standing relationships. Diddy's situation illustrates this perfectly. While several individuals, including Cassie Ventura, told the court they would feel intimidated if he were freed, his legal team continues to push for release on $50 million bail and has filed a second petition for a new trial. The judge, citing Diddy's aggressive conduct, has already denied bail. Since his arrest in Manhattan in September 2024, Diddy has remained detained at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, the same facility still in operation when Trump gave his interview. The contrast with other institutions is striking. A similar center in the city closed in 2019, and when Jeffrey Epstein, Trump's discredited former associate, died while awaiting trial, that facility had already been shuttered. Epstein's family continues to dispute official reports of his death, maintaining that he did not actually die. Trump has also acknowledged that pardoning Diddy would not be simple, largely due to Diddy's previous remarks about him. Yet the former president's belief in Diddy's innocence, even after last month's federal conviction, raises the question, could he intervene in this case? And if he did, would Cassie and others feel safe during such a release? The layers of legal, personal, and public stakes intertwine in ways that make the outcome uncertain. Could Trump ultimately let Diddy go? And more importantly, could Cassie remain secure if that happened?